Hi, this is Big Mama, and I am going to do a flip through of my Dear Julie July challenge. And the name of her challenge, I'm getting smarter, I'm going to have notes. It was called the July Just Digital Bases Junk Journal Challenge. And so what she had us do is with her digital, all the bases needed to be made with part of the digital. And so she broke down those to the postcard base page, her dad's bank card envelope base page, 6-pack, and that is a page that has 6 squares on it. A full page or an envelope base page, large tag base page, and side-by-side base page, and mini journal page. And so the mini journal page is the page, I've got a lot cut out of it, but it's a page like this that's small pieces. And I printed a lot of my paper on the copy dye page and absolutely loved it because it looked, I am all about my grungy, and so I loved how printing on the coffee paper just totally changed the way the digital looks. You've got where the digital has this, I don't have the exact same, but you can see how light it is. It's beautiful this way, but I wanted to make something that looked really, really old, and so I went this direction. So I wanted to break that down for you. Something else that we were supposed to use is to pull out items that we haven't used in a long time, or do a technique that we've never done before. And so I'm going to tell you a little bit about that in my journal. And some of the stuff that I used was the metallic paint here. That you can see, this is my palette that I use here to use this paint, but I loved using this color here and this green here. It was an antique bronze and a green that looked really great with this botanical. And then we also got to pull out some of our when I want to be organized, I'm not. But I hardly ever use anything but gold. And so this month I pulled out my copper, and so got to use it. I was very impressed with the way this looked with digital. And so I used this embossing enamel. And then I use that embossing enamel, excuse me, with some of this wax. And when I was in the Army, we would wax our boots and polish them up and use a lighter, a little Bic lighter, and heat the wax. And it caused a glass kind of shine. And so I thought, well, I will use this kiwi neutral and then sprinkle a little bit of that copper enamel down onto this when I put it on, and then hit it with my heat gun and melt the wax and the embossing enamel together, and it created this rusty look on a lot of the paper. So that was another technique. And so what I'll do now is, through the flip through, now that I've given you the how-tos, I will do the flip through and kind of point out some of that along the way. I had received some great grungy lace and items from people over the last couple of years, like Sarita and Susan Taylor Brown. And so throughout this journal, I keep looking at it because it's just sitting here begging to be shown. The things that we accumulated was what Julie wanted us to use also. She wanted us to try a technique we'd never done before, and that was what I had done with this wax and sprinkling the enamel in it instead of like doing just the edge around, but sprinkling that and seeing if that worked. And I love that technique. I'll be using that a lot more. But I was able to use some of the lace and items that people have given me along the way, and Marty, if you're watching, and Penny Pudge, if you're watching, I used some of Marty's buttons, and I finally broke into Marty's bag of buttons that Penny had sent to me, and I stole. I didn't give it back. So Marty steal, I stole. So here it is, Marty's buttons. I just want to get that up there, Marty's buttons. But this is Penny Pudge's seam binding, so I thought that they definitely went together really well. And this beautiful, beautiful lace is on top of a white dish towel that weren't white no more, because Susan had taken and had coffee dyed it, and then when she went to the fiber art, I was able to acquire some of her items, and so that dish towel was acquired. And because this is going to one of Susan and I's friends, it does have a home already. I wanted to put as much of Susan's items in here too, because you know that's what we do. We want a legacy journal that when we look, we feel like the hands of our friends are on it too. So I hand stitched this lace on top of the dish towel. I have a book that I had gotten from Katie Tribe of Five's sale that was just falling apart, and so I reinforced the inside spine with some of the bookbinders or bookmakers tape. So I reinforced the inside of the spine, and I left the dish towel one piece. That was quite the endeavor, because I had no idea how hard that was going to be to sew in the signatures into the inside, flip this to the outside, glue it down, and then I hand stitched around the edge to keep it closed, but it is also glued on with bookmaker's glue. And then here we go on the inside. See, and I like to, when I put the seam binding on here and I did the bow, I sewed the bow closed, and what I like to do that so you don't have to retie it every time. So you just have to squeeze and pull her off. And there you go. And I sewed the button on, and there are 2 buttons there to give it that little bit of lift. So I stole 3 of Marty's buttons. And then on the inside, I reinforced with a button. And so here, before I glued it down, I sewed the pocket on the front and the back, sewed in the signatures to the dish towel, and then laid it over it, glued it down most precariously, and got that secure. Then flipped the dish towel back over the edge and glued it down so that it is all one piece attached. And oh, please let the signatures never have a problem, because I can't imagine having to fix it. I wasn't thinking about stuff like that when I put it together. I was just thinking pretty. So here is one of the things we were supposed to do, was to make a folio out of a bank envelope. And so I printed the digital and then used the bank envelope template and traced it and cut it out, and then made my little, this is where I did the wax and sprinkled on it the copper. So I hope that you can see. I don't know if you can. If you can't, I apologize. I was hoping for the best. But then it's supposed to be a folio. Put this material here on the inside to give it some thickness. And then I have these slotted pockets here with the tags. And also it has a pocket here on the side that has something in it, because every pocket has to be filled with a Julie challenge. And then I have this notebook, and this is a napkin that I put on here, and also have some of that copper shimmer to it. And then this this was a part of the envelope, and so I put the paper, attached the paper to it, and so you've got that notepad here, and then this is my notepad here, and then it has a pocket on the inside and has a little tag in it. This may be a long video, and because I've got quite a lot to show you and I talk way too much, I know, please forgive me, but you really don't have to watch. I get it. I understand that when you've got somebody who talks as much as I do, you want to just go, and it's like that teacher in Charlie Brown, wah 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 wah. And so I do get it if you guys just say, oh, fast forward. There's that. Now, this is the front of the first signature with her digital printed on that coffee dyed paper. Here is a little pocket that we were supposed to do with the postcard shape. And so I took a hanky and did some hand stitching on here with some embroidery. This is a mulberry handmade paper. This is where we were supposed to do a envelope flip on the edge, and so again I did a lot of the embroidery onto the digital. And when you do that, you want to reinforce with another piece of paper or some fusible webbing or something under there so that you don't rip the paper. And so then the envelope has, we made several of the, out of the 6-pack, we were to make some matchbook style notebooks, and so you'll see those in several of the pockets, and so this is one of them. And again, this is that copper embossing that I did around the edge. And then here is the slanted tuck. And so there's another one of the notebooks. And so I just did a little, I wonder if I turn my lamp a little bit more, that'll help. So I don't have to keep going this way. But here, I guess that didn't. How about that? So there is the, I did a pin, I made just out of the scrap paper, did that to embellish on the top, and then we have the notepad. We were to take the tall tags, and this is the trifold tall tag to where you can write in it. So this would have been the digital. And I printed it, and I printed on both sides of it. And so this was called the Antique In Papers Digital. And then I did some sewing on a piece of muslin and cut it out and then glued that on top. Where this, I think you could see it better. So I just did that and added to it with those pieces. So that's what this is here, is where I sewed onto some muslin and then added it down onto the piece. Printed on the back side, I've got my different pages to journal. Folded this page and have a little pocket, and this is again a piece that was Susan Taylor Brown's, but I made it to where it's got a little bit of a flip up, flip down. That wasn't a part of the challenge, but I have to fill every pocket, and so I wanted to be sure that I had that filled, and so that was a little scrap that Susan had sent. This, I used a twig from out in the yard to add to the botanical look, and there's the twig and a butterfly. And then I've got my card here, and this is a hidden journaling card that we were supposed to make out of the postcard digital base. And then again, I embroidered on the paper here. that stamp is supposed to go on the outside to cover up the line. I'm trying to keep an eye on the time so that you don't have to endure too much, my yayan. And so there's all the paper to write because it is a journal. And then here is a pocket. And what I did here, this is one of the notepads that we were supposed to, a scrappy notebook. And so what I did here is use an envelope, and with the envelope I made it also a double envelope because we need to have enough pockets to put all of the things we made. And this is the postcard, and I turned it into a postcard and put scraps on it. And then with this one, I put that lace on here so that when you put the notebook back in, it really goes nicely in there, honest. Liar, liar, pants on fire. And so then when I put that down over the top, all the lace goes together. So it's kind of like a hidden notebook in there. And so that, no, I'm not at the end. So this is so you can write on the other half of that postcard page. And then the very back, what I have done here is the digital had this, so I printed it twice and cut this out, and then I have some ephemera to where I just used part of the digital and put in there, and then it goes behind this to where it's all fancy. All right, here we go with the next one. And this, we were supposed to, it's where you have 6 and you fold it up, and so you've got one pocket on one side and 2 pockets on the other of the signature. And so this is one of the little cards I've made to go in here. And this is my flip up with a fabric flip, and this was part of the digital, so I made a paper clip, the hidden paper clip, and then here is the waterfall that I made with it. And so how this worked was the other side, this is the bank card, the bank envelope, and so let me come back here. It flips out also, and it has the pocket here too. All right, and then I made the fabric flip here, and then on this side is the other part of the envelope, and I embroidered here. And then here is another one of those postcards that I made into a postcard. This is a double pocket on the edge that's with an envelope. And so that flips out. This was a book page that I had. And so then I cut this at the top here so that you've got the where you can write a legacy letter in there, and I call them legacy letters. You want to write a story that you want to pass down to loved ones that you haven't even met yet. That's the story you want them to know. This is one of the mini journal pages, and so have the slotted pockets and little cards in there, and this is part of the digital. And this is the back side of that 6-pack. And so it opens up here, and I've got a card in there, and then a little notebook in there. Edged that with some tattered hanky. And then here I took a scrap and just did a running stitch on here. I guess that was a chain stitch, and then went back with some French knots to do the yellow flower on there to carry that color through. And then here it flips, so this is my flip-flop. And then I took the other part of that envelope that I showed you earlier, and so it has a pocket here, and then I have one of those notebooks that is a matchbook notebook, and instead of it opening up like this, I made it to where the digital, I again took two and cut this part that is a part of that digital. I cut this part off to make it the tab, and so then this is your notebook here. And this is again where I waxed it, and then I went and sprinkled the copper on there and hit that, so it had that, all that rusty look to it. So that's an envelope pocket that I made there. And that was extra. That was not part of the challenge. Hold on just a minute. I'm getting a little bit. It's hot in Kansas. And heat makes my nose drip just as much as the cold does. Hold on. You guys needed to know that, right? And so when I sew the pages in, like this page is this wide. So it's not enough to go all the way. So I do two of them. And so this is half of another page. And then, so the other part of this page is on the other side of signature. And so here we go. This is a top tuck. And there's another, we were supposed to, I think, do 4 of those. And I usually don't fess up on my mistakes, but we were supposed to do a top tuck, bottom tuck, and I put them both on this page. And so then I couldn't hardly get nothing in them tucks. So I took this one off, and it kind of made that look pretty bad. So I had to fix it. So I took a tea bag over a digital and let the tea bag dry. It was a used tea bag, and then cut out the leaves and glued them down and patched that area and put the washi on the bottom and added me a little butterfly and covered up that mistake because I tried to ink it. You can kind of see down in here where I inked it, and it looked pretty gnarly all the way. So I fixed it. It's got some patchwork going on there, and you guys won't tell, I won't tell either. And so there you go. This is probably my favorite element. We're supposed to do a in the middle, with the envelope where we've got the double tuck. And so what I did was on these cards, I just put napkin, but I embroidered on that digital. And I just love how that looks like actually the dandelions are laying right there on the paper. I just love that. And then it flips, and I've got one of those notebooks, a scrappy notebook in there. And I just think that turned out where it is pretty special. Yep, that was hard for me to glue in there because I was kind of wanting to keep that and pet it a little bit. But it's going on to my friend. There's the other half of that page. So this had a moving experience. I moved it from the other one over here, and it's got another one of those postcards. So it's better off here anyway. Shines on its own. And then again, there's the other half of that one page. And here is an on the edge flip, and we're embroidered the dandelions. And then here's the other half of that, where I got here. And let me see, I've got that card that I've got on here and that, so that's a double tack, or no, that's a double slotted pocket. And this page had some holes, and so I took some scrap and put in there. And we're moving right along. Don't give up on me. All right, so here we were supposed to do this double pocket, and so here is notebook, scrappy notebook again, and I blinged it up with a little dangle there. I may leave that one out. And then this one, I top that, and then when it goes in the pocket, that lace just hangs on the edge and giving you a little bit more texture and makes you smile just seeing all the pretty. And guess what? We are at the end. And so this tag is like that, with the book page. And another slotted pocket, and I did some embroidery on some material here. This is my, she wanted us to do a zine, and so this is my zine, and closed it with some scrap of muslin. And so this pocket on the zine, this is the thing that goes in the pocket there. Then I embossed on a piece of the vellum and made just a little itty bitty tag here to go in that. Then I have a little notebook here to write in. I just love the sound of that. There's some paper that's been dyed. And then here is the pocket on the top of this one with the postcard, part of the digital. And then here is the back, and so we have a pocket here. And there's a book that I have, and it said Finding Roots, and I just thought that that was really good for the botanical. Finding Roots. Get it? Finding Roots. And so then this is the other side of the zine. And there you go. And then that just gets wrapped around and tied. And then this is the large hidden journaling card. That, there you go on that one. And I think I just showed you everything. I hope I didn't flip through, and you know, there are pockets and things in here that I may have missed. I know there was one pocket on the edge that I think, here it is. This one, where it says special. The reason why it says special is I found this recipe in a Betty Crocker cookbook that is a New England kitchen garden piccalilli, and it has the recipe here. So I covered it with a used tea bag and put the word special on there because this journal is going to New England, and then the digital is on the back, and I embroidered on those wonderful flowers so that it can go right there in that pocket, and the word special is right there. And then I made that little dangle with Marty button. Oh gosh, if you guys only knew how fun it has been to steal from Marty. Yeah, I love that gal. Everybody does. There isn't anybody who knows Marty. I haven't met her. I only know her online in chat. But Marty, she's amazing. Well, this does have a home. It's going to go up to New England, and it is going to be loved and used by a very precious lady. I'd love to rat her out and say who she is, but she knows who she is. And I know that this journal is going to be loved, and that the stories that are going to go into it will be legacy stories that many people will enjoy for years to come. And I hope you enjoyed this flip through. And may you all know that at Big Mama's house, you're all welcome and you're all loved. So if you drop in, I'll put your feet under my table and I'll give you something to eat. Bye-bye.